Hi everybody, welcome back to the Chasing Psychological Safety video series. This week we are going to talk about our newest feature, which is the Project Aristotle pack. So exciting, hot off the press, and wanting to talk to you a bit more about what it is, but also why it's there, why that piece of data is important and we're using it. So we understand that at the moment teams are doing it tough. We're all trying to get to the end of the tunnel where the light is, and you might not be focusing on performance now, but we're looking to the teams that are and the teams that soon enough will be able to. So whilst we understand that you might not be there right now, we wanted to take the amazing set of data that Google came up with for us. It's one of the highest level sets of data that we've got around teams, and we wanted to use that in the software to help people just start to think about the other aspects of high performing teams. Psychological safety sits right at the top, but there are those 4 others in the top 5 as well.
Right. So in yesterday's article, we walked you through the basis of this again, just to kind of as a refresher, because I'm sure most of us listening to this or reading it would have heard about it and know about it quite well. But essentially, in a really vast project, Google came up with a set of data that suggests that to have high performing teams, you have to have at least these 5 coordinates in order of importance. Obviously, the number 1 thing is to have psychological safety, but then the other 4 things that are top in this top 5 are whether or not a team is dependable, whether or not they have structure and clarity, whether there is impact, and whether they personally feel like they have purpose, and whether or not they are at ease and satisfied with the job that they're doing personally. So those 5 things are not derived from each other, are not the same concept whatsoever. Psychological safety sits apart because it is a set of behaviors that we can so easily, or not so easily, but so clearly affect once we know how to deconstruct it. The other bits have some type of connection to the way that your organization lives, and we are conscious that not everyone can attain the same amount of clarity and the same amount of structure and the same gusto in the work that they're doing. And those other elements can sometimes refer to how much or how little of the human that you might be having in the organization. So we do know that those are less affected by the things that the team does. Psychological safety is, as we say all the time, absolutely something that you can and should be working on. These other ones, though, are something you should keep an eye on. And in particular for technical teams, this is something that comes to mind a lot. So we have made a promise ages ago that we will look into how do we give them an idea of how they're doing in this area. And it's really important that we know this is not, I'll let Fionn kind of pick it up and explain why it's important that we use it in the right way, because as always, when we expose data, how you look at this data is almost as important as having it.
Absolutely. So when we say use it in the right way, there are the 5 top characteristics of teams that Google came up with. So obviously psychological safety that we hold at our hearts and is at the heart of everything that we do. And then as Draine's already mentioned, structure and clarity, dependability, meaning and impact. But what we've done is, rather than going into those in great detail, as we've taken them and we've put in some great questions which allow you to just think, just ask yourselves the right questions in those spaces first of all. And that's first and foremost what our software does. It asks you great questions. It allows you to reflect and even have an opportunity to be asked questions in those different areas. And then we've rolled that up into just 1 score. So rather than breaking it down into different components, as we've done with psychological safety, which remains our main focus, we've taken those, put an optional pack in, so you don't have to have it, but it's great if you do. Put an optional pack of questions in, you answer those questions, and it rolls up into 1 score called the Aristotle Score, essentially. And that just allows you to create that space for your team to think about those items and have an eye on the data as well.
Right. We hope you'll love it as much as we do with using it and thinking of these things ourselves as teams. And we hope it will kind of propulse you further and help you achieve performance even more. But if there's one thing of the 5 that you should probably spend all of your time focusing on, that is still psychological safety. Thank you so much for listening to us, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.